Hey guys, this is Jarrett here with Team Adventures at BeeGee. And do you know what you need to carry on your hikes, camping, and backpacking trips? Well, I'm going to let you know. There's quite a few lists out there called the 10 Essentials. And so I brought some of my stuff out to show you kind of what I carry. It's all going to be dependent on how far you go. You clearly need less if you're only going to go for, a 2-hour or a 2-mile day hike versus, a 4-day backpacking trip. But here's some of the basics. Usually the first thing on the list is navigation. For longer trips, I'll take like a compass. This is the compass I always take. And here's just an example of a map. It's the Grand Canyon from the trip that I took there. So that's what I would take on a longer or more technical if I was going off route. I also have this thing. I've had it for I don't know, like 10 years. It's just a handheld GPS unit. It lasts for 24 hours. It takes a couple of batteries. It's been a lifesaver hiking through Big Bend and some of the canyons at night. And you don't have to use it the entire time. You can just get your bearings, turn it off, after a 5-minute. So those are some of the things you might want to use on longer or more technical trips. But if you're just going on a simple day hike, I think your cell phone is probably one of the best uses. You can download Google Maps, use that. You can also download it for offline data. So it can still bring up where you're at, in location. A lot of parks and things have PDF files that you can also download and compare back and forth between Google Maps and the PDF. So those are some of the things that I take. A day hike is just my phone. If I'm going longer, I'll take a GPS unit or a map and a compass. Item number 2 is a light. This is my trusty headlamp. I recommend a headlamp over a flashlight any day of the week. Just because a headlamp is going to free up your hands to allow you to use trekking poles, to make a fire if you need it, to drink water, things like that. So you just got both hands free. A headlamp works great for that. A good backup item, because you're already going to have it, cell phone. They've all got lights. So, make sure that thing is charged before you head out, and you've got it for a light if you need it in a tough situation. Next up is going to be sun protection. So I usually wear a boonie hat if I'm going to wear something. And then in one of these little kits, I will carry, a little container of sunscreen. And so that's what I use. My combination of sunscreen, usually a long sleeve shirt, and some sort of boonie hat to keep the sun off my neck and face. For first aid, I carry it combined with my gear kit. And so I'm not going to take all of this out there on a day hiking trip. This is for my backpacking or camping. I've got a note card that tells me the meds that I have, like aspirin, Tylenol, maybe some Sudafed, things like that, and how often I should take it. Then, I've got like a wrap to cover up any wounds, a couple of bandages, if I'm bleeding, and then just, various medicines, so like Imodium, so if I get diarrhea. I also carry some tape and these tiny towels, which are great. So they get real big in water. They turn into like a full-size towel, so you get them wet. So they can be used for bleeding or wrapping or just getting dry if you need it. And so that, and then I take a couple of, Steristrips in case I have a deep cut and I probably need to get stitches later. I'll be able to, at least close the wound up and wait till later. And then the rest of the items are going to be, some kind of gear repair. And we'll get to that in the next one. So number 5 is knife and repair kit. So you could carry something as large as this, large pocket knife. Probably weighs, I don't know, 4 or 5. It's a good chunk of metal, ounces, because, it's a decent chunk. But usually what I carry is just something as simple as this. It's just a little key knife. It cuts, it gets into most things that I need, especially on a day hike, where I'm not worried about cutting cord or cutting and whittling a stick for something or making a fire. So in most cases, I'm just carrying something tiny like this, and it's a big weight saver. As far as my gear kit, what I would take on, a backpacking trip, probably not day hiking, I've got a little bit of thread, some needles, and some safety pins so I can sew up gear, a tent, clothing. That's probably what I need to sew up. Let's see. I've also got super glue if I need to put shoes together. You can sew glue those back together. Any sort of seam that you may need, things like that. Just dump it all out. I've got some of these. They're amazing. I blew out a sleeping pad for the first time ever. And these are just Gear Aid. They're like tenacious tape, but Gear Aid has a whole bunch of repair stuff. It sealed up my sleeping mat and I was able to sleep comfortably instead of sleeping just on the ground. And kind of the last item that I take, it is just going to be some duct tape. I cut a straw and like my own hack and wrapped it around, but you can also buy it pre-made if you don't have the time for that. That way you're not carrying a giant roll with you. And then the next item, number 6, is going to be match and fire material. So I carry some UCO matches in this little container in like my hygiene kit. It's got a strike pad, it's got this waterproof container, and in the top it has a little bit of cotton there for kindling. I also carry just a ton of Minibic lighters, so you can see I have another one in here. I mean, they weigh like nothing. You can get a huge pack of them. So I've got them in my packs, in my hygiene kits, like in my repair kits. I've just got a couple tucked over because, you know, you never know when you're going to need it, and there's not really a weight. Number 7 is a shelter. So you can take something as big as a bivvy or an emergency blanket. For me, my emergency shelter is usually my rain jacket and rain pants I take with me. I mean, here in Texas, like if I'm on a day hike, it doesn't rain all that much here. So I'm usually not taking any of that stuff with me, but for a longer trip, I definitely have my rain jacket and rain pants. Number 8 is going to be food. So just have some extra food. You know, any type of these bars, snack bars, protein bars work good. That's usually what I take for my snacks. Any sort of trail mix, you know, from Walmart, your grocery store, they have their own home brand. Number 9 is make sure you have enough water. There's a whole bunch of ways to carry water. And we're going to do a video later on how much water you should take based on what you're doing. So we'll have some more in depth on that, but just have a water containing device. So, you know, you want to have a bladder or a bottle, and you probably want to take at least 32 ounces or a liter with you. That's kind of like the bare minimum. And then it's not bad to have a filter or some very light like drops or tablets that can purify water if you need it. Then number 10 is going to be the extra clothing you need. So, you know, some of that's going to be like, if it's going to be cold out, have, you know, a beanie and a scarf. That way you can keep your head and neck warm. Or for me, it's also going to be that rain jacket and rain pants. Those are kind of my go-to for warmth because they go on the outside. They stop water, they stop wind, and they keep me warm. So if you've got any other suggestions on what you like to carry for your top 10 essentials, you know, let us know below. Thanks for watching, and make sure to join us on our next adventure.